The court said, the prosecution can call its next witness.
Mr. Horton said, government calls Jacob Hinz.
Jacob Hinz, called as a witness by the government, having been duly sworn, testified as follows.
The court said, please state your name and spell it, and move the microphone close to you so.
The witness said, Jacob, Jacob, Hinz, Hinz.
The court said, you may inquire.
Direct examination. By Mr. Horton.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hinz.
Good afternoon.
Where do you work?
For the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
And what's your title at the FBI?
I'm a special agent.
And Special Agent Hinz. Could I ask you to pull the microphone as close as possible to your mouth and point it right where you're speaking? How long have you been a special agent with the FBI?
Since March of this year.
And what were you doing before you joined the FBI?
Ms. Schrofa said, Your Honor, may we just have a brief sidebar?
The court said, all righty.
Continued on next page. At the sidebar.
Ms. Schrofa said, Your Honor, I don't believe there's any relevance to the fact that he served in the Army or that he was a school teacher before that. So I don't think that's in any way relevant to his testimony.
Mr. Horton said, it's a single question, Your Honor. He has only been an agent since March of this year. So I think it's relevant, particularly he's going to be cross-examined. For the jury to know what he did before he joined the FBI.
The court said, these are basic pedigree questions. It goes to credibility. The objection is overruled.
Ms. Schrofa said, Your Honor, it's only because he was in the Army and...
The court said, when I overrule the objection, Ms. Schroff, you need to stop.
Continued on next page. In open court, jury present.
The court said, you may continue.
By Mr. Horton.
Special Agent Hinz, you said you joined the FBI in March. What were you doing before you joined the Bureau?
Before I became a special agent, I was an NCO in the U.S. Army Reserves for 6 years. And before that I was a teacher, high school teacher.
Generally speaking, what are your... Let me ask you this. Do you belong to a particular quad with the FBI?
Yes, sir. It's called OS4.
What does OS4 do?
General Conduct Background Investigations.
Besides your testimony today and your preparation for that testimony, Agent Hinz, did you have any involvement in this case?
No, sir, none.
In advance of your testimony, Special Agent Hinz, were you asked to review certain government exhibits and summarize information in them?
Yes.
Did you prepare or review for accuracy some summary charts?
I reviewed, yes.
Are these charts all based on voluminous records?
Yes, sir.
And what type or types of exhibits are these charts based on?
The majority would be email exchanges and some photographs.
Who decided what information you review and what information would be included on the charts?
I do not know.
Was it you?
It was not.
Were you given opportunity to make revisions to the chart to make sure they were accurate?
I was.
Did you make revisions to the charts?
Yes.
And after you revised the chart, are they all now accurate?
Yes.
Agent Hinz, did you review some of these charts for accuracy earlier today?
I did.
And just to be clear, did you review all of the evidence that's gathered in this case or just the charts and the exhibits that those charts are based on?
Just the charts and the exhibits related to those charts.
Mr. Horton said, Your Honor, at this time I'd like to offer a stipulation between the parties that's been marked as Stipulation 15. An online account stipulation.
The court said, no objection, correct?
Ms. Schrofa said, No, Your Honor.
The court said, it's admitted.
Government's Exhibit Stipulation 18 received in evidence.
Mr. Horton said, could we please publish it, Ms. Loftus? I misspoke. It's been marked as Government Exhibit Stip 1 to 8, 18, not 15. This document says stipulation regarding online account. It says that the parties agree that GXUK 768 contains a subscriber information for the account ukistruhome@gmail.com. It says GXUK 1 through GXUK 417 are emails and their attachments, if any, that were sent or received by the account ukistruhome@gmail.com on the dates indicated on the face of the exhibit. GXUK 700 through GXUK 777 are images and other files that were stored in the Google Drive file storage for the account ukistruhome@gmail.com. And 4 says the above listed exhibits were lawfully obtained by the government. It concludes, it's further stipulated and agreed that this stipulation may be received, as well as the exhibits listed in the stipulation, may be received as government exhibits at trial subject to objections. It has today's date on it. Government offers Stip 18 for the record.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit Stip 18 received in evidence. By Mr. Horton.
Ms. Loftus, could you please take this down and bring up what's in evidence as GXBR 1604? If you could please zoom into the message at the top of this exhibit. Agent Hinz. Were the documents reviewed only emails or were there other kinds of documents as well?
I believe there were some other types of documents. There were screenshots of some accounts and like photographs, as I said before.
Mr. Horton said, and, Your Honor, while the next exhibit is loading, the government offers with reference to GX Stip 18. GXUK 1 through 417 and GXUK 700 through 777.
The court said, no objection, correct?
Ms. Schrofa said, no, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted or they are admitted.
Government's Exhibits UK 1 through UK 417, UK 700 through UK 777 received in evidence. By Mr. Horton.
On the screen is what's in evidence, and can you publish it, please, what's in evidence as GXBR 1604. Special Agent Hinz, what is the name and email address in the from line in this email?
It says Mileson and the email is ukistruhome@gmail.com.
What's the subject line?
It just says reply for FXXK, Evo Chassis 240860.
Can you please read the 2 sentences below, dear all?
Yes. I don't understand this email. We are trying our best to be patient and move the deal forward ASAP. We've been waiting to pay the rest of the invoice for weeks.
Thank you. Ms. Loftus, can you please take this down and replace it with GXUK 768, which is also in evidence? Special Agent Hinz, these are Google subscriber records. What does that mean?
They are information provided by the company to us about the sender and receiver of certain documents over the internet.
And what information does the subscriber information relate to?
The contact email, the address is ukistruhome@gmail.com.
And, Ms. Loftus, if you could zoom in on what's below this under billing. Tax shipping legal default at the top. Agent Hinz. Can you please read the name and address of the subscriber for ukistruhome@gmail.com?
Please excuse my pronunciation, but Cheonggwe, Apartment 6, 5 Princess Gate, London, Great Britain.
And, Ms. Loftus, could you please zoom in on the bottom 2 sets of names on the part of this subscriber? Agent Hinz, what are the 2 names shown here on subscriber information?
Maigwe and Cheonggwe.
What address do these 2 names have?
373, Taconic Road, Greenwich, Connecticut, United States.
Thank you, Ms. Loftus. You can take this down, and please show the witness what's marked as GXC 20. If you could flip through it and then go back to the first page, please. Agent Hinz, what is this document?
It's one of the summaries that I guess looked through the validity or accuracy of prior to this.
Ms. Schrofa said, Your Honor, I'm sorry. I cannot hear the witness.
The court said, if you'll speak up, please.
This is one of the documents provided to me that I verified the accuracy of the corresponding documents in evidence.
And did you review all of the exhibits that this chart is based on?
Yes, everyone.
Is the chart accurate?
Yes.
Mr. Horton said, government offers GXC 20.
The court said, no objection, it's admitted.
Government's Exhibit Z20 received in evidence. By Mr. Horton.
If you can publish, Ms. Loftus. Generally speaking, Agent Hinz, what does this chart show?
Some correspondence. It has passport in it and variety of photographs.
In the selected content, did you select that content, Agent Hinz?
No.
Did you have any choice of what was included or excluded from it?
No.
In that selected content column, are the items in it the full set of text from a corresponding exhibit or a full image or just an excerpt?
General excerpt.
In the column to the right, Agent Hinz, what is GX refer to in the items in that column?
Exhibits.
Looking at the first row in this chart, what's shown in the first row here under selected content?
It's authorization for Chongqua to a person to act on behalf of the company Geneva.
Ms. Loftus, if you could highlight the second line of what's in the first row here. It says authorize Chongqua. And Agent Hinz, if you could read what's in parenthesis after that, please.
Also known as Milsun Kwok.
What kind of document is shown in the selected content in the second row in this chart?
The to and from information, it's subscriber information for an email.
Can you read the subject line, please?
From Milsun Kwok.
And what kind of document is shown down on the third row on the first page of the chart?
A passport from Cyprus.
And is there a name on the passport?
There is.
What's the name?
Chongqua.
Can we go to the page 3 of this chart GXC 20, Ms. Loftus? What kind of document is this, Agent Hinz?
Photograph.
And generally speaking, what's depicted in the photograph?
Some individuals enjoying a meal.
Do you know who any of them are?
I do not.
Can we go to the next slide, please, Ms. Loftus? And what kind of document is this?
Another photograph.
And what does it depict?
A gentleman standing on what I believe to be a boat.
These excerpts, do they all come from the UK is True Home Google account?
I don't know.
Can we go to the last page of this chart, Ms. Loftus? There are excerpts from how many documents in this row?
2.
On the left side, what kind of document is excerpted there?
Some subscriber information, address.
And what kind of document is it?
I'm not sure. I believe an email.
What does it say on the registered address under Mr. Chongqua?
373, Taconic Road, Greenwich, Connecticut, United States.
And what's shown on the right side of this row?
What appears to be a mobile phone, maybe Google Maps is what it seems to be for some directions.
Is there an address shown on this image?
There is.
Can you read that address?
373, Taconic Road.
Ms. Loftus, can you show the witness what's been marked as GXC 21, please? Agent Hinz, what is this document?
Another one of the summaries that I examined.
Did you review all the exhibits that are referred to in this chart?
Yes.
Is the chart accurate?
Yes.
Mr. Horton said, the government offers GXC 21.
Ms. Schrofa said, no objection, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit Z21 received in evidence. By Mr. Horton.
The leftmost column to, from, subject and date, what does that refer to, Agent Hinz?
The subscriber information for the emails contained.
And the selected content of GX columns, do they have the same meanings as on chart we just looked at?
They do.
Ms. Loftus, if you could zoom in on the first row on this first page, please. What does the text in the leftmost box indicate about this document, Agent Hinz?
That the email is coming from Matteo to ukistruhome@gmail.
And what's the email domain for the Matteo Gandini address?
Matteo.gandini@ferrari.com.
Can you read the selected content part of this row?
Yes. Dear Mileson, great meeting you and having a chat together. We have just spoken to Kata about some of your wishes, and we might be lucky. There are potentially 2X FXXK Evo cars available.
Do you know what an FXXK Evo car is?
I believe it's a Ferrari.
If we can go to the second page of this exhibit, Ms. Loftus, if you could zoom in. Agent Hinz. On the left side of this page, what does that text indicate about this document?
The subscriber information for where this photograph came from.
And what does the sent line indicate?
It says FNE, FXXK Mileson Gua, and then a VIN number for a vehicle.
Below that it says sent, what does that line indicate?
The time it was sent on the date.
And what date and time was this email sent?
The 5th of December, 2021 at 4:03 p.m.
If we could look at the selected content box, Ms. Loftus. Agent Hinz, what's shown in this box?
It's a photograph of a car.
And what's the text say on top of the photograph of the car?
It says FXXK Evo chassis number 240860.
If we could go to page 3 of this chart, Ms. Loftus. I'm sorry, if we could go to page 7. Looking at the leftmost column, Agent Hinz, was this document in the ukistruhome@gmail.com account?
Yes, that was where it was from.
Is there anything in here that indicates that there was an attachment to this email?
Yeah, the PDF that's noted at the bottom.
What's the title of that email?
Payment confirmation 1.
Ms. Loftus, if you could zoom in on the content in selected content. At the top it says, please see attached. If you could, first of all, Agent Hinz. What is the document that's shown on the bulk of this page?
Seems some kind of account summary.
Ms. Loftus, if you could zoom in on the text above debit advice. What is the name of the bank on this page?
Metro Bank.
Is there a date reference on this document?
Yes.
What's the date?
June 16, 2021.
To the right of that date, what does it say?
It says Fiesta Property Developments Limited, 79, East Works Drive, Cofton Hackett, Birmingham, Great Britain.
Do you know what Fiesta Property Developments is?
I do not.
Ms. Loftus, if you could zoom out and go down to where it says Payment Details. Agent Hinz. What does it say to the right of Payment Details?
FXXK Evo 240860 car investment.
And next to transfer amount, what's the US dollar value?
I believe that's 3.5 million.
If you could zoom out, Ms. Loftus. Zoom into the beneficiary line on this document under Debit Advice. Agent Hinz, what does it say next to the beneficiary?
Passion Rossa, LLT.
Do you know what Passion Rossa is?
I do not.
Ms. Loftus, if you could pull up what's in evidence as GXZ14 at page 11. Have you ever seen this document before, Agent Hinz?
No.
What does it say at the top of this document?
It says Flow of Funds G Club Operations LLC to Passion Rossa, LLC.
And what's the entity listed at the very bottom of the page?
The bottom one is Passion Rossa, LLC, Ferrari Beverly Hills.
Ms. Loftus, if you could go to the last page of the GXZ21 chart, please. The row in the middle of this page, if you could zoom into that, Ms. Loftus. The from line says from Santoro Federica. Federica.santoro@ferrari.com to Mileson Ukistruhome. Could you read the selected content of this excerpt, Agent Hinz?
The court said, all righty. It is 2:30 now, so we're going to take our half-hour break. Remember, members of the jury, you're not permitted to discuss this case amongst yourselves. Don't let anyone discuss the case in your presence. Don't read, watch, or listen to anything from any source that touches on the subject matter of this case. Sir, you may step out. Don't discuss your testimony.
Witness temporarily excused.
The law clerk said, jury exiting.
Jury not present.
The court said, please step out. Is there anything else before we return at 3 p.m.?
Mr. Horton said, not from the government.
Ms. Schrofa said, no, Your Honor. Thank you.
The court said, very well.
Recess.
The court said, could we have the jurors brought in?
Jury present.
The court said, you may be seated. Remember, sir, you're still under oath. You may continue the inquiry.
Mr. Horton said, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Loftus, if you could put up page 8 of GXZ21. Agent Hinz, what's shown in the... Mr. Horton said, well, actually, Ms. Loftus, if you could zoom in to this first row, please. And what's in the from line, on the left side, Agent Hinz?
It's from Matteo Gandini, matteo.gandini@ferrari.com.
And who is it sent to?
To Mileson gwe@ukistruhome@gmail.com.
And what's the subject line of this email?
It says, FNE, FXX Kivo 2400860, call with Mileson Gwe.
What's depicted, Agent Hinz, in the selected content column? Can you describe for the jury what that is?
Yes. A car with Ferrari symbols, silver and black.
Mr. Horton said, if we could go down to the second row, Ms. Loftus. And Agent Hinz, who is this email sent from and to?
This is from mileson@ukistruhome@gmail.com, and it's to Matteo Gandini, matteo.gandini@ferrari.com.
And can you read what's at the top of this email in the selected content column, please?
Yes, and I can't wait to see in my colors.
Mr. Horton said, could you go to page 9 of this chart, Ms. Loftus? If you can blow up the row so we can see the from and to. Please. Agent Hinz, who sent this email?
It was sent from mileson@ukistruhome@gmail.com.
And what, if anything, is the name of an attachment to it?
The attachment is Mileson Gwe 2021 Bell Helmet PDF.
Mr. Horton said, can you blow up the selected content row, please, Ms. Loftus? So that says, I don't need the flags for now, but we can put my initial like the others MQG. I've already done my helmet and it should be finished around the end of this month. Please see attached. And what's below that in this email, Agent Hinz?
It's a helmet with the inscribed name Mileson on the side and 30 and FXX Kivo on it.
Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, could you pull up side by side for us, GX UK 299 in evidence and stipulation 2, at page 24. Also in evidence. GX UK 299 and stipulation 2. While that's loading, Agent Hinz, have you seen GX UK 299 on the right?
Yes.
At the top of GX UK 299, can you read the body of that email, please?
Dear Mileson. Here below the link with the video which you can also download. Thank you and look forward to having you with us again.
And Agent Hinz, if I could just ask you to pull the microphone closer to your mouth again.
Yeah.
And what's at the bottom of the email on GX UK 299?
It's a link, appears to be a video link.
And what website is that link to?
Vimeo.com.
And over on page 24 of GX Stip 2. Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, if you can pull up, yeah. Blow up the bottom line, GXW 1058. Do you see the link that's in Stip 2 next to GXW 1058, 1058, 1058A, and 1058V, Agent Hinz?
I do.
Are those two URLs the same?
They are.
Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, if you could pull up GX, oh, sorry, Your Honor. The government offers GXW 1058, 1058A, and 1058V.
The court said, no objection?
Ms. Schrofa said, no, Your Honor.
The court said, they are admitted.
Government's Exhibits W1058, W1058A, W1058V received in evidence.
Mr. Horton said, and Ms. Loftus, if you could pull up GXW 1058V, please.
By Mr. Horton.
And Agent Hinz, in preparing this summary chart, did you review the video with that link?
I did, yes.
Is that what's shown on your screen?
Yes.
Mr. Horton said, can you publish it for the jury, please? And we can play it with the sound on, please.
Video played.
Mr. Horton said, thank you, Ms. Loftus. Can you please pull up what's marked as GXZ25 for the witness?
By Mr. Horton.
Agent Hinz, what is this document?
It's another one of the summary exhibits that I reviewed for this.
And did you review all the exhibits that it references?
I did.
And is the chart accurate?
Yes.
Mr. Horton said, government offers GXZ25.
Ms. Schrofa said, no objection, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit Z25 received in evidence.
Agent Hinz, what's shown on the first page of this summary chart? What kinds of things?
Variety of photographs of some cars in what appears to be a hangar.
And are these photographs from the Ukistrohome Google account?
I don't know.
Mr. Horton said, can we go to page 2 of the chart, Ms. Loftus? Agent Hinz, what is the email address at the top of this chart?
ukistrohome@gmail.com.
And could you please read the first sentence under, good afternoon, in this email from Ukistrohome?
Yes. I am attaching Dimitri, who is my mechanic in the UK.
Mr. Horton said, on the next page, Ms. Loftus, next page of this chart. Agent Hinz, what is written next to the name Dimitri at the bottom of this document?
A phone number.
Mr. Horton said, and Ms. Loftus, will you please put up page 3 of this chart? Sorry. Could I have you put up page 3 and 4 together? If you could highlight the phone number next to Dimitri on the left side. It's on the bottom on the left side. Agent Hinz, what kind of documents are shown in the selected content row in the document on the right?
Looks like messaging exchange of some kind.
And is there a phone number depicted on the messaging exchange on the right?
There is.
Is that phone number the same as the one next to Dimitri on the left?
It is.
Looking over to the right side of that messaging exchange on the right.
Yes.
Can you read the message under what looks like a picture of a dog and a play sign? The message and text under that in white.
Yes, that's fine. I will come earlier tomorrow and uncover 911. VW is not back from dealer yet.
Do you know what that refers to, VW is not back from dealer yet?
I do not.
Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, if you could please put up pages 5 and 6 of this chart together. If you could just zoom in around the content on each one as they both load. Looking over to the left side, Agent Hinz, what's the title of this document that's in yellow here?
Used car purchase invoice.
And looking down below under vehicle details, what kind of car does it refer to, this purchase invoice?
Looks like a Bentley Bentayga.
Mr. Horton said, can you highlight the name and address lines on both the left and right side documents, Ms. Loftus? Under purchase from on the left side, Agent Hinz, on this car invoice, what is the name next to that?
The name says ACA Capital Group Limited.
And what's the address provided for ACA Capital?
Apartment 3, 5 Princess Gate, London.
Looking over on the right side, is the Google subscriber data for Ukistrohome?
Yes.
And what's the address associated with the account Ukistrohome?
Apartment 6, 5 Prince's Gate, London.
Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, if you could go to page 7 of GXZ25, please. Agent Hinz, in the top right corner of this document, it says Annual Form Invoice Form. What does it say on the top right corner?
It says XX programs.
Do you know what that means?
I do not.
And under car registrations/details. Can you read the 3 items that are top to bottom under car registrations/details?
Yes, FXX, 599XX, and FXXK.
Mr. Horton said, "Thank you, Ms. Loftus. If you could blow up the line under that, under car ownership, name and address. So it says name, Stichting Still We Rise. Could you read the address associated with Stichting Still We Rise, Agent Hinz?
1053, Great West Road, Brentford."
Mr. Horton said, "And Ms. Loftus, if you could go to page 8 now of GXZ25. The first row at the top, is this content from an email, Agent Hinz?
Yes.
Which account sent the email?
The ukistruhome@gmail.com.
What's the substance excerpted from this email?
I propose we meet in my man cave in Brentford.
And under the row under that, is that excerpted from a document from the ukistruhome Gmail account?
I believe so, yes.
Under Cirrus Aircraft Order Form SR22T, what's the purchaser name?
Milson Gwert.
And what's the main address?
1053, Great West Road, Brentford, United Kingdom.
Mr. Horton said, if you could zoom in now on the bottom email on this page, Ms. Loftus. Who is this email? Which account was this sent from, Agent Hinz?
I'm not certain.
If you look at the top, is there an email address?
There is. It says Pippa Mac. contact@khstaff.com.
If you could read from, further to our conversation.
Further to our conversation early and sign contracts below. I am writing to confirm that Fee Benchu was offered and accepted the permanent PA manager role working for Milson Gwert Rising Sun Capital Limited. Based at your offices, 1053, Great West Road, Brentford, on an agreed salary of.
That's okay. You can stop there. Thanks, Agent Hinz.
Yup.
Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, if you can go to page 9 of the same summary chart, GXZ25. What kinds of documents are these excerpted from, Agent Hinz?
Emails.
If we look at the bottom row, can you read, so it's an email from apter@gov't.ch. Do you know what that means?
I do not.
Mr. Horton said, I'm sorry, Ms. Loftus. If you can go to the top of these 2 rows first. Same email address sender and it says, why don't you read what it says from Peter Albert?
Sorry. One more time? What would you like me to read?
The email at the bottom from Peter Albert.
Yes. Just a quick question from compliance. Who is the CEO of Rising Sun Capital Limited?
And on top of that, response from Milson, Dear Albert, the CEO is Mr. Harenhi. I hope this is okay. Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, can we go down to the second row now, same page? And can you read Mr. Albert's email here?
Yeah. And sorry, a follow-up question, who is the owner of Rising Sun Capital Limited?
And the response from Milson, same email chain, the owner is also Mr. Harenhi. Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, can we go to page 10 of GXZ25? Agent Hinz, what's the GX number shown here?
GXUK 717.
And what appears to be depicted in this image?
It appears to be a photograph of a debit card.
Is there a bank name on the debit card?
Yes.
What is it?
Santander.
And above September 1st 28 at the bottom, can you read what's listed above that, please?
Yes, it says Mr. H.
Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, can you please pull up what's in evidence as GXSW 2061? GXSW 2061. Have you seen this document before, Agent Hinz?
Yes, I think so.
In the from line it says at the top from Alex Hajakara Lambus, alex@clubs.com. Who is it sent to? According to this document,
Haytham Khalid.
Mr. Horton said, and Ms. Loftus, can you go to page 2 of SW 2061? At the top it says, well, can you say what it says at the top of this document?
G Clubs.
And under that, it says, Miles Gov't does not have any decisive control over G Club BVI or its parent Jovial or its parent Stichting Duurzijn. Do you see that? Agent Hinz?
I do.
Mr. Horton said, now could we go back to the summary chart, please, GXZ25, at page 12, Ms. Loftus. What's shown on this page of the summary chart, GXUK 746 from the Ukistrohome account?
It looks like a pamphlet that has some writing on it, incorporation of Stichting Duurzijn.
And what's the date on the document that says incorporation of Stichting Duurzijn?
August 15th, 2019.
Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, can you pull up for the witness the chart GXZ22? And what kind of document is this, Agent Hinz?
It's a chart that describes totals for transactions, financial transactions.
And did you review all of the GXUK documents that are referenced on it?
I did, everyone.
And are the figures on here accurate based on that review?
They are.
Mr. Horton said, government offers GXZ22.
The court said, no objection.
Ms. Schrofa said, no, Your Honor.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit Z22 received in evidence.
Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, if you could pull up GXUK 12 and 223 alongside the chart, please.
By Mr. Horton.
And while that's coming up, GXUK 12 on the right, GX223 on the bottom right. Are these two exhibits that you reviewed when you assessed the accuracy of GXZ22?
Yes.
Mr. Horton said, going back to just GXZ22, Ms. Loftus. What does this chart reflect? Looking at the bottom row, Rising Sun Capital. Can you explain what that line represents?
It shows funds received by the Rising Sun Capital in 2023 to the total amount of £150,000 Great British pounds.
And the emails you reviewed, where it says funds received from Rising Sun Capital. Which account were those emails sent to?
I don't recall.
Mr. Horton said, okay. Let's pull up GX 397 Zambian Kwacha. Is this one of the exhibits that's referenced on the line for Rising Sun Capital, Agent Hinz?
Yes.
And which account was the email sent to?
It was sent to ukistruhome@gmail.com.
Mr. Horton said, okay. Ms. Loftus, if you could please pull up GXZ24 for the witness. Agent Hinz, what kind of document is this?
It's another one of the summaries that I verified for this.
Did you review all the exhibits that are cited in it?
I did.
Is it accurate?
It is.
Mr. Horton said, government offers GXZ24.
Ms. Schrofa said, no objection.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit Z24 received in evidence.
Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, if you could pull up what's in evidence as GXGC 415.
By Mr. Horton.
Agent Hinz, this is an email. Can you read the first sentence below, Hi Limari? Before you do that, can you say what the from line says?
The from line reads HRR.
And the sentence under?
Ms. Schrofa said, actually, it reads HHR.
The witness said, oh, excuse me, HHR. Thank you.
And if you could just read the sentence that follows, Hi Limari.
We have green light from Mr. Gov't for the loan.
Mr. Horton said, and Ms. Loftus, if you could show what's in evidence as GXGC 418 at page 3. What's the title of this document, Agent Hinz?
Amendment to Loan Agreement.
And if you could just read the first sentence under Amendment to Loan Agreement. And you don't have to read what's in parentheses.
Okay. This amendment to loan agreement dated as of January 18, 2022, is made by and between G Club International Limited, registered in British Virgin Islands, and Cheonggwa.
And what was the date that you just read?
It was January 18, 2022.
Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, if you could go back to GXZ24 on the first page. If you could zoom into the middle row here. What's the date sent on this email, Agent Hinz?
Monday, January 24, 2022.
And it was sent from the Ukistrohome account to whom?
To Albert Peter, a peter@gonti.ch.
And can you please read the selected content from that email?
Yes, sir. Dear Albert, can I please request you to transfer 3 million Swiss francs to the account attached as soon as possible?
Mr. Horton said, and if we could just go briefly to page 2 of GXZ24, Ms. Loftus. Is this from an email in the Ukistrohome account?
Yes.
And the document on the right, what's it titled?
Account statement.
And what does the document appear to be?
It appears to be an account statement, a series of transactions.
Mr. Horton said, Ms. Loftus, if you could highlight the top and bottom line items here, please. And Agent Hinz, if you could read them. Starting with the description column and then reading the credit value.
Yes. Bonification from Lamp Capital LLC, and then the credit was 7 million.
And the one at the bottom.
Again, bonification from Lamp Capital LLC, 13 million.
Do you know what Lamp Capital is?
I do not.
Mr. Horton said, and Ms. Loftus, if you could now show the witness what's marked as GXZ23. Agent Hinz, what's this document?
It's a summary of the exhibits.
And did you review all the exhibits it references?
I did.
Is the chart accurate?
It is.
Mr. Horton said, government offers GXZ23.
Ms. Schrofa said, no objection.
The court said, it is admitted.
Government's Exhibit Z23 received in evidence.
First, the top row here, Agent Hinz, who does this email appear to be sent from?
It says it's sent from mileson@ukistruhome@gmail.com.
And what's the date on it?
Monday the 5th of February, 2022.
And the email domain, the 3 emails it sent to, what's their domain?
@ferrari.com.
Could you read the top part of the email above the ellipses?
Please allow me to thank you all for the amazing 2 days that you have allowed me and my friends to discover, learn, but most importantly enjoy with Ferrari. It had been a dream for me since 2011 when I came with my other friend Anthony Liu for a shakedown to his F1 car. It is truly a realization of a dream.
Below that it says, in my culture we say, honor is only a moment of your heartbeat. But to keep the blood flowing, you need to work even harder, punctuation underscore. So I have already instructed our exchange to concentrate on a proposal for Ferrari. Do you know what's referred to by our exchange, Agent Hinz?
I don't.
Mr. Horton said, and if you could zoom out, Ms. Loftus, and zoom in on the image at the bottom here. Sorry. The row at the bottom. What email domain sent this email?
It's from @ferrari.com.
What's the subject line on this email?
Himalaya Exchange LMH.
What's depicted in the image in the selected content row?
It's a sports car with Ferrari symbols on it and the words Himalaya Exchange.
Mr. Horton said, okay. Ms. Loftus, if you could go to the 3rd page of GXZ23. I'm sorry. Could you stop at the 2nd page? And zoom in on the bottom row here. GXUK 315. Who is this email sent from?
It comes from J.E. William, or William J.E., at hamiltonch.com.
Do you know who that is?
I do not.
And what's depicted in the, first of all, is there a file name in the selected content from this email?
There is.
And what is it?
Ferrari_shareholding chart.
And the title of this chart is Ultimate Beneficial Owner.
UBO and shareholding structure. The excerpt on the right, can you please read that, Agent Hinz?
Note, Mileson is an investor in Hamilton Opportunity Fund and is also responsible for the Ferrari project for Himalaya Exchange.
Mr. Horton said, we could now go to the third page of GXZ23, Ms. Loftus. Who is this email from?
This is from J.E. William or William J.E. at hamilton.ch.com.
And what's the subject line?
It's Reply Himalaya Exchange Partnership Next Steps.
And what's the date?
It's from the 13th of July, 2022.
If you could show us the selected content, Ms. Loftus. It starts, Dear Matteo. Thanks, and it was a good discussion yesterday. Please find below our statement on the questions raised. Do you see that?
I do.
Can you read number 1, please?
One Himalaya Exchange, he is a commercial entity with no political agenda. He has never made any announcement on any political stand, especially those related to China.
And number 4 says, we notice that some websites seeking rule of law and financial freedom put he as one of their supporting organizations. He wants to emphasize that he has no relationship nor any financial dealings with these organizations, including the federal state of China. There is no official statement from he suggesting that he supports any political belief. Could you read number 6, please? Agent Hinz.
Ms. Strofa said, is there a question pending after the reading by the government? There seems to be no questioning.
The court said, is there a question?
Mr. Horton said, the document is in evidence. And I was asking if he'd seen the part that I read and asking him to read the part that followed.
The court said, okay, go ahead.
On the sponsorship, the board of directors requires that the Himalaya Exchange name be there. We believe that this will be extremely welcomed by the Chinese people. While we could not control how the media reports, Ferrari should be confident that this is a pure commercial cooperation and should not involve in any political considerations.
Mr. Horton said, you can take this down, Ms. Loftus. Agent Hinz, what's an email search warrant?
It's a search warrant to get the content of emails.
And what does it allow the government to do?
Ms. Strofa said, objection.
The court said, I would like a sidebar.
Mr. Horton said, Your Honor, I'll move on and wrap up the questioning.
The court said, okay, go ahead.
Mr. Horton said, just one final question.
By Mr. Horton.
Agent Hinz, other than reviewing the summary charts and the exhibits that they reference, do you know anything about this case?
I do not.
Mr. Horton said, if I could just have one moment, Your Honor.
The court said yes.
Mr. Horton said, thank you. No further questions.
The court said, cross-examination?
Cross-examination. By Ms. Strofa.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just want to make sure I pronounce your name correctly. Is it Hinz?
It's Hinz.
Hinz?
Yes.
And should I call you Special Agent Hinz? Is that your title?
Yes.
Okay. So, Special Agent Hinz, you testified that you were an NCO in the U.S. Army. Is that a non-commissioned officer?
Yes.
And were you in the reserves?
Yes.
Okay. And you stated that you've been with the FBI for 5 months. Did I get that right or wrong?
I entered the academy last year in October and graduated in March of this year and reported to the New York field office in that same month.
Okay. And do you work in the FBI New York?
Yes.
Okay. So let me show you what is GXZ25, if I may, okay? You remember testifying about this document, correct?
I do.
Okay. And the first page that you see here, you testified that these are photographs of some cars, correct?
Yes.
And if I could just have you see page 2 of this document. There you go. And Mr. Horton had you read this document out loud. Remember?
Yes.
Okay. And you testified that you believe this to be accurate because it's based on an exhibit, correct?
Yes.
So the exhibit is GX UK 283?
Yes.
What else is in 283? Do you know?
I do not recall.
Now the document itself says, I am attaching Dimitri, who is my mechanic in the UK. Correct?
Yes.
You'll agree with me that you can't possibly attach Dimitri, right? The email means something else?
Yes.
Okay. And he says he will make sure the head scan guys is in contact with you ASAP. Right?
Yes.
Okay. And then he says let him know as he manages my racing events too. Right?
Yes.
Do you know what racing events this person is talking about?
I do not.
And going back to the full document, do you know if GX UK 283 said anything more about those racing events?
I do not recall.
So when you were reading this for Mr. Horton over here, you don't know what was left out of GX 283.
No.
Okay. No, ma'am, you don't know, right?
No, I do not recall.
Okay. You don't have to call me ma'am, but you feel free to if you want to. Ms. Shrofa said, could I just look at the next page if I could? There's a +44 phone number for Dimitri, right?
Yes.
Would you agree with me +44 is the United Kingdom, or do you think it's some other country?
I don't know for sure.
Ms. Shrofa said, and then if I could just have the next photograph, or the next page, right? You testified about this document, right?
Yes.
Who is Rav?
I don't know.
Did you go back and look at all the documents to see where else Rav appears?
No.
Okay. And it says that, yes, maybe tonight around the block, right?
It does.
Okay. And I'm assuming you have no knowledge of what this person is talking about?
No.
And on the right-hand side, who's Martin?
I do not know.
Okay. Let's look at 2 pages after this one, where you looked at the profile. Remember this document you testified about, that it's a Google profile?
I do.
Okay. And do you see the name over there, Changwa?
Yes.
It gives a London address, correct?
Yes.
Do you know if he actually lived there?
I do not know.
Do you know if he had more than one address?
I do not.
Is it fair to say, as an FBI agent, that you would be able to know that you could have an email address from a certain time period, and the email address would continue with you no matter where you moved?
Could you say that again?
Sure. So if I open an email address in New York and then I decide to move to Yemen, I could still have the same email address, right?
Yes.
Okay. And if I could just have you look at the next page. You see this thing that you testified about? This page?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know, are these 3 different cars on the left-hand side, car registrations/details?
I do not know.
What do this N, and N30 stand for?
I do not know.
The undersigned Howren he, do you see that?
I do.
Okay. And it says signature of owner, correct?
It does.
Did Mr. Horton ask you to find out where Howren he lived?
No.
Did he ask you to find out if he was in fact the true owner?
No.
Did he ask you to find out if that is in fact his signature?
No.
Okay. May I just have you look at the next page, please? He had you talk about this aircraft order form, correct?
Yes.
And then he also showed you photographs of. Ms. Shrofa said, you can take that one down. And he showed you photographs of people eating food on a yacht, correct?
People eating food somewhere, yes.
Right. And you said that they seemed to be a family enjoying a dinner, correct?
I believe I said they appeared to be individuals enjoying some food.
And you don't know who those people are, correct?
I do not.
And Mr. Horton didn't ask you to know anything about those people, correct?
No.
Now, if I could just have you take a look at GXC20, right? He showed you this photograph, right?
Yes.
And do you know where that passport was?
I do not.
Ms. Shrofa said, okay. And if we could just scroll down on that document, please. And keep scrolling down. And down. And one, there you go. And here. Let's just could I go back to the map, please?
By Ms. Shrofa.
Okay. You testified about this document as well, correct?
I did.
Okay. And you testified that you think that the email is from somebody called questions@dyson.com, correct?
I don't believe I said that.
Okay. Is it from dyson.com?
That's what it says. Yes.
Okay. Sitting here today, do you know what Dyson is?
I know they're a manufacturer of appliances, vacuums, cleaners, home appliances.
Okay. And you see the map on the right-hand side?
I do.
Right. And the map, Mr. Horton asked you to read 373 to Conic Road, correct?
He did.
Okay. But he didn't ask you to read the line below. Could you read the line below for me?
Yes. The destination,
Uh-huh.
H Mart Hartsdale.
Do you know what H Mart is?
I do.
What is it?
It's a grocery store.
You think the grocery store sells Dyson vacuum cleaners?
I couldn't say. I don't know.
You don't know, right?
I don't know.
Sitting higher today. You don't know if this map has anything at all to do with this Dyson warranty that is on the left, right?
With the exception of the same address, I don't know.
Well, let's just put those two together in a more organized way so I can have them side by side for you. Right? So there is no date matchup to these two documents, correct?
I don't see any.
Okay. In fact, there is not even a year matchup to these two documents, right?
Not that I can see.
Okay. And you don't know if H Mart Hartsdale sells anything from Dyson, correct?
I do not know.
Okay. And let me just ask you this question. On the left-hand side, is somebody registering a warranty? Right?
It appears to be, yes.
Right. And it's saying your Dyson warranty is now active, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know what it takes to activate a warranty?
I do not.
Okay. And sitting here today as an FBI agent, can you tell the jury if there's any correlation at all between these two documents?
Other than the address, I do not know.
How did they come to be together on the same slide?
I do not know.
Well, you testified about these two, this document, right? This page.
Yes.
So before you testified, did you ask Mr. Horton, how are you putting these two things together?
No.
Why not?
I wasn't asked to ask those questions. I was asked to verify that this summary matched the documents that they came from for accuracy.
Well, let's look at where they came from for accuracy, shall we? So one comes from GX UK68, right?
Yes.
That's the top one, right? So logically that would be the document on the left side because it says below that UK68, correct?
Yes.
And then the one on the right says GX UK 775, right?
Yes.
That's a lot of numbers in the middle missing, right?
Yes.
You're jumping from 68 to 775.
Yes.
Did you not ask him what's in the middle? Do these things have anything to do with each other?
No.
Ms. Strofa said, okay, let's look at the page below. Same exhibit, just one page down. Or is it one page up? Sorry, I meant the photo of the bags and the plane. There we go.
By Ms. Strofa.
You see this?
I do.
Okay. And one is from GX UK 740, and then the next one is 741, right?
Yes.
Do you know where these photos were used?
I do not.
Do you know if they were any part of an advertisement?
I do not.
Do you know if they were any part of a brochure?
No, I don't know.
Do you know who took them?
No.
Do you know if they were taken by a professional or a non-professional?
No.
Ms. Strofa said, okay, you can take that down. Let me show you GX UK 127 if I may, okay? What does that mean? Here we go.
I don't know.
So what did Mr. Horton ask you to check for this particular creation?
The entirety of my involvement has been to verify that the documents presented in the summary match the documents entered as exhibits. That they were the same.
Which one did this match?
I imagine GX UK 127.1.
You imagine?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. Can I show you please, or may I show you GX 299? I can move on. You know what? Let's go to the video that was shown to you, GXW1058. Ms. Schrofa said, could you pull up the video? Do you recall being shown this video during your direct testimony?
I do.
Ms. Schrofa said, okay. And if we could just play it and fast forward a little bit into where the individuals are just standing.
Video played.
Do you see these people on the left-hand side?
I do.
Okay. The man in the suit that has his hands in his pocket?
I see him.
Okay. Do you know who he is?
I do not.
How about the person next to him?
On which side?
On his right.
No.
With the red shoes.
I do not.
How about the person behind him?
No.
And then you see the gentleman all the way in the back with the suit again?
I see him.
Okay. Do you know who they are?
I do not.
Do you know what company they're from?
I do not.
Do you know if they're from G Club?
I don't know.
Do you know somebody named Ian Livingston?
No.
Do you know? Did the government have you look for anybody with that name?
No.
And the government asked you to take a look at this video and we played it for the jury already, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm not going to replay the whole thing, but do you recall seeing two people driving in the car?
Yes.
If you don't remember, I'm happy to. I'd rather not play it again, but I'm happy to do that.
The court said. He answered yes.
I recall two people, yes.
Okay. And do you know who the second person was?
I do not.
Do you know if that person was from Ferrari or from any other company?
I do not know.
Do you know if after this video was made anybody approached Ferrari for a Monaco Grand Prix event?
No, I don't know.
Do you know if you reviewed any documents about a Monaco Grand Prix event?
I don't recall.
Do you recall a document regarding the sponsorship of Formula 2 cars?
No.
Do you recall a proposal being made to Mr. He?
No.
Do you recall if Mr. He agreed or disagreed with the proposal?
I do not.
Do you know if Mileson here wanted to reach a 3-year contract with Ferrari?
Say that one more time.
Do you know if Mileson was attempting to reach a 3-year contract with Ferrari?
Mr. Horton said, objection. It's cumulative and beyond the scope of direct.
The court said, sustained.
Do you know if Mileson was a customer of Ferrari for more than a decade or less?
Mr. Horton said, objection. Same objection, Your Honor.
The court said, sustained.
Ms. Schrofa said, let's look at GXC25. Right? And if I could go to page 4. No, could you go one page back, please? Do you see on the top paragraph on the right side, it says, VW is not back from dealer yet? Correct?
I see that, yes.
Do you know who the dealer was?
No.
How about VW?
I don't know.
Ms. Schrofa said, how about we go to page 6? And one more page down. I already asked you about this document before, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to move from there and go to GXC25. Ms. Schrofa said, GXC25. Take this down. Do you remember being asked questions about a man cave?
I don't believe I was asked questions about a man cave, no.
Do you recall reading the phrase, man cave? We will meet in my man cave in Brentford? Do you recall that?
I do recall.
Do you know what that meant? What the person meant when he wrote that?
No.
Do you know what Brentford is?
No.
Do you recall giving testimony about a Cirrus aircraft?
I do.
Do you recall there was an email address of a person named Pippa Mac?
I do.
Who's Pippa Mac?
I do not know.
Ms. Schrofa said, now if I could just go to page 8. Oh, there you are. And you see, no, just thank you. Thank you, Jorge. My bad. You see that last 2 lines on the selected content portion?
For which selected content?
The last paragraph on this document.
Yes.
Okay. And it says that Fibenci was offered and accepted the permanent PA manager role, right?
Yes.
For My Sungwa, Rising Sun Capital Limited, right?
Yes.
And an agreed salary about £85,000, right?
Yes.
And this email is sent to Rav and Arethusa?
That is the name on it, yes.
Who are these people?
I do not know.
You don't know, right?
I don't know.
And this document, right? All you can say is that portions of this document appear in another document that Mr. Horton showed you?
Yes, that is one of the exhibits, yes.
Now let me go to GXSW 2061, right? Do you recall testifying about this email exchange?
I do.
Okay. And basically, is it fair to say that you don't know any of these individuals?
Yes, that's fair.
Okay. And as an FBI agent, Mr. Horton didn't ask you to verify any of this information, right?
Only in comparison to the full exhibits, documents, to the chart. That was the only verification I did. Nothing beyond that.
Okay. But this is not part of the chart, is it?
No.
Okay. Just a freestanding document.
Yes.
So Mr. Horton put it up and asked you to read it, and you read it, right?
A portion of it, yes.
Ms. Strofa said, okay. And if I could just go to the next page. You see he had you read the first line of this page, right?
Yes.
What does decisive control mean to you?
I believe I only read the G Club's portion, but decisive control, I don't know.
Okay. And you don't even know if that is a legal term or a term of art, correct?
No.
And can you read for me from public figures on?
Public figures like, and excuse my pronunciation. How Hai Dong, Ren, Ji Chong. And Gordon Guthrie Chang, former soccer player for Sheffield United, retired real estate tycoon. And Stanford law professor respectively. Would you like me to continue?
Please.
Spoke out against the CCP and its regime.
Uh-huh.
Public figures such as the ones listed have taken upon themselves via various social media platforms to be more vocal and raise awareness among the vast following of the injustices occurring in mainland China against humanity.
Okay. And of course you just wanted to. Your task was not to verify any of this, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You can take that down. If I could just have you take a look at GXC22. You were asked questions about this, correct? This chart?
I was, yes.
Okay. And I'm assuming you correct me if I'm wrong about the process, okay? You were given the documents on the right-hand column, the rightmost column, right?
Yes.
And then you were asked to see if the date range column matched the funds received from and the funds sent to. Correct?
The date range, the funds received from and to, and then the total amounts.
Continued on next page. By Ms. Schrofa.
So you see the one that says transfers wise, transfer wise, wise?
The court said, there's more than one.
The fat one in the middle?
I do see it.
It has like a whole bunch of documents on the right side, right?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that's $573,100 US? That amount is based on the information in the column on the right side?
Based on a total of the sums within those documents.
So if there was a mistake on the document on the right side, right? The number 573 would still remain accurate, right? All you did was make sure the math was accurate?
Mr. Horton said, objection, compound and calls for speculation.
The court said, I'll allow the question.
Could you repeat it one more time?
All you did is make sure that the math is correct, right?
Yes.
Now, you were shown a lot more documents, Special Agent. But would it be fair to say that you were selected as a witness here because you really know nothing about this case? Correct?
The court said, sustained. He cannot testify as to why he was selected because that would be in the mind of the prosecutor or prosecution team.
But you told the prosecution team about your understanding as to why you were called to testify today. Right? You recall that?
Yes.
And what is it you understood why you were chosen?
To tell the truth of the accuracy of the documents that corroborated.
Why?
Mr. Horton said, objection, interrupting the witness's answer.
Ms. Schrofa said, I did. I moved to strike. My question to you was, do you recall telling Mr. Horton why it is that you were selected as a witness?
The court said, are you asking him did he ask Mr. Horton?
Ms. Schrofa said, I'm asking him if he told Mr. Horton his understanding of why he was selected.
The court said, "You can answer that question."
I don't know their reasoning for it.
That wasn't my question, sir. Do you recall meeting with Mr. Horton today?
Yes.
And do you recall meeting with him yesterday?
Yes.
And during one of those meetings, did you not tell him that you were selected as a witness because you know nothing about the case? Do you recall telling him that?
Something along those lines, yes.
You told him that, right?
Yes.
Ms. Schrofa said, "I have nothing further."
The court said, "Redirect."
Mr. Horton said, "Nothing further. Thank you."
The court said, "Thank you, sir. You may step out of the courtroom."
Witness excused.